do?
Hey, everybody. How are we today? This is Bob Gums bringing you the Concerned Forum. Well, we've had an interesting week so far, haven't we? And of course, we're looking at this incident. I'll call it an incident that happened with Mr. Donald Trump. It would seem that something happened. Someone took a shot at him and missed. Unfortunately, I believe an innocent person was hit and killed. And I think the whole thing is shameful. But I'm not going to do what Democrats unfortunately usually do or have been doing over the last decade. And that is to, break down in some kind of, terrible, blah, 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 blah. We're so sorry. I'm not going to do that. Number one, I speak what little mind I have left at my time of life. I speak it. Okay, I speak my mind. I endeavor to speak the truth because I believe that's the most important thing. And I am not one of these religious people, but I do believe that the truth shall set you free. As far as the actual incident itself, I don't want to sound too skeptical, but I'm a grown man and I went to school at a time when they were still teaching things here in America. And I keep thinking about the, what is that? The Reichstag incident, when the Nazis wanted an excuse to declare martial law. You do know that once they got elected into power, they never left. The reason why they never left is because they stopped having elections. The reason why they stopped having elections was because of the fact that supposedly this Jewish communist student set fire to the Reichstag. It was like their parliament building. And because of that, they used that as an excuse to say, okay, well, from now on, the Nazis, we will govern under military discipline, you see. Now, we found out at the Nuremberg war crimes trial that basically the whole thing was a setup, okay? And I'm not saying that's what happened the other day with Trump, right? But knowing Trump as I do, knowing the people that he's associated with for the last 50, 60 years, hey, the main thing with the incident, that violent incident, is that in America, we are supposed to be a nation of the ballot and not of the bullet. And I bring that out because, listen, let's stop the BS. To a certain extent, I think the American voter is so immature. Okay? It's like we've gone backwards in this country. How the hell, you're going to run around, oh, wow, somebody tried to shoot at Trump, blah, blah, blah. Will you tell me in all of our lifetime. All of us. I don't care if you're 20 or 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 or 120. You tell me an American presidential candidate that has been more about violence than Donald Trump. I don't care if you're 90 years old. You haven't seen, you don't know. You have absolutely no idea. You have never seen anyone as violent mouthing as Donald Trump. Now, Trump has threatened judges. You know, the man has threatened judges. He has threatened the families of judges with violence. He has threatened the American people with violence. Well, if I don't, you know, if the election is not fair or blah, 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 there will be blood on the streets. Now, if anybody wants to say I'm a liar, all you have to do, because nowadays everything is videotaped, okay? We have heard Trump out of his own mouth say these things. We have seen and heard Donald Trump standing up at rallies, telling his followers, yeah, those guys, you know, those people demonstrating, go ahead, beat them up, hurt them. And then he makes a reference to lynching, because I know at one time, one of the demonstrators at his rally was an African American, and what did he do? He made the comment, oh, gee, I miss the old days. Old days what? When a black man was out of the line, you strung him up by his neck. No one has worked so hard to portray an image of violence as Donald Trump has been doing. Ever since he came on the political scene, right? This guy, you know, nothing decent, kind, empathetic out of his mouth. Nothing, absolutely nothing. He accuses our neighbor, who's also a sovereign nation, of basically trying to kill all Americans because they are a country. What did Trump call them? What did he say about Mexico? They send their killers, their rapists. They send them here, here to our country. These are Trump's own words. So I'm not going to, get all bent out of shape. I'm not going to act like somebody took a shot at JFK or Bobby Kennedy or Martin Luther King, okay? The reason I'm not is because if I see a bird, if I see a parakeet tweet, am I supposed to be surprised? Because that's what happens. If you constantly go around threatening people, if you constantly go around and you decide to knock away the legal and political route of doing things, and you appeal to the hate, you stir up the anger, and then somebody takes a shot at you. Why should we be surprised at that? I remember in the 60s, what is it that a gentleman said, yeah, well, what happened with the president being assassinated, America has done so much violence around the world, it came back to her. But that's just like chickens coming home to roost. Now, a lot of people will probably resent what I just said. Oh, well. You know, I tell you, I speak, you know, I endeavor to speak the truth. Now, if somebody has a disagreement, we usually have is it up to the day? Okay, you got my email, you got my phone number. Somebody has a comment or a disagreement, give me a call. Tell me why I'm mistaken in what I just said. But I don't believe I am. I don't believe I am. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword, right? Chickens come home to roost. You reap what you sow, right? And these people that are running around trying to force their idea of Christianity down our throats, they don't look at the Bible. They don't read their Bible. I'm not religious, but I've read the Bible. I went to a Catholic school. I was an altar boy. I remember what the Bible says about certain things. And some of the things that the Bible says, I find, the New Testament especially, I find them to be very good things. And one of them is what you sow, you reap what you sow. Trump is basically, he has turned this country, he has turned the political dialogue of this country into a garbage can. I feel, what the hell is it? Are we going to have to resort back to the 60s? People, slaughtering each other? Because it damn sure feels that way. And people forget the 60s, early 70s, it wasn't about wanting to just wear long hair and walk around in sandals. People in this country, I'm not even talking about Vietnam, but in this country, people died because they wanted the right to vote. Are we going to have to go through that again? It's been a long time. I was a kid, but my God, at this point in my life, to see this garbage happen again, hey, if that's what, but if that's what it takes to finally bring true freedom, justice, and equality in this country, then get out your combat boots and be prepared to, what did King have us do? Do that marching thing, because no one of any color should have to settle for being treated as a third-class citizen. And something else about these Republicans. I've never seen such a bunch of hypocrites. You call the guy a Hitler. You say Donald Trump is like Adolf Hitler. And then you agree to become his vice president? What does that say about your integrity? You put yourself in the same category as that cretin from South Carolina. What's it, Graham? I remember, was it 2015? Early 2016. Graham was saying, oh, Trump, what do you call him? A racist, a con artist, right? All these great, names. And then what happens? He winds up, we catch him in bed with the guy. These Republicans, man, no sort of integrity. Now, like I say, I happen to be a registered Democrat, okay? I consider myself to be a progressive human being. All right, if you want to best describe me, okay? But I look at what's happened to uh, our political conversation in this country, and it's like you have a segment of people that are determined to drive America into the gutter. And I look at these people. Well, I'm with Trump. Well, why? Why? You ask somebody to give you an intelligent response. When they put the mic out at those Trump rallies, and what do you hear? Well, he's a businessman. Well, wait a minute. It's been proven Trump he's not a good businessman. He drove a whole city into bankruptcy over in Jersey, Atlantic City. The court cases with him and how he had screwed over people, screwed over their money. I mean, I really don't have to go into that, right? It's right there in the books. But it's like for some reason, a lot of people, what's the term that they use? Willfully ignorant. Trump brings out the willful ignorance in people. But I noticed Republicans have become rather good at that, and Republicans and their followers, especially outside the Northeast, they are really good at that, just basically shutting off reality, and what they do, they confuse this willful ignorance, they confuse that with patriotism, right? Patriotism is not about willful ignorance. As a matter of fact, patriotism is not about ignorance at all. It's supposed to be about love of country. Not just, I love the dirt, okay? It's supposed to be the love of ideals, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. America has some beautiful ideas. We're all created equal. We all are entitled to be held equal before the law. But look at what the Supreme Court has done. And see, that's something else too. This whole Trump Republican mindset, right? Woke. Well, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I'm a registered Democrat. I'm a progressive human being, and I am very woke. Yes. And the American people need to stop allowing the Republican Party to play with the dictionary. They're not qualified, okay? Republicans aren't qualified to screw over Mr. Webster, okay? Being awake means that you are awake, that you are aware. Yeah, that you are aware of things, good things and bad things. Okay, it means that you are a functioning human being. And what frightens Trump and his Republicans, scares the hell out of them when people start talking about diversity, fairness. Why would you be scared? Ask yourself, why would a party that's in the two-party system in a country that was built on diversity, right? That was built on immigration. Why do words like fairness, diversity, why does that scare you? Why does it upset you so? What are you trying to say? What's behind that? I stopped watching Bill Maher because of that crap. Yeah, Oh, yeah, he started attacking people for being woke. What the hell is that? You attack people because they're awake? Because they think? I don't understand it. Is this some kind of, you have to show that you are part of some kind of club or something so that, oh, well, at my time in life, I have to show that I'm with the gang. Now, if I'm wrong about that, then somebody show me. Because you're telling me this is the guy, I mean, he literally humiliated people who are into religion. Right? Remember the movie that he made? Which I found to be quite good. But I don't humiliate people behind their faith. I resent when people try to take their faith and shove it down my throat. Okay, America's not for that. These people talk so much about the founders. The founders told you that, right? As a matter of fact, people talk about gay people. Remember when they used to talk about gay people being in the closet, right? Well, the people that founded this country, okay, these people were children of the Enlightenment. Now, again, a lot of people might not like to hear that, but that's a fact. All right? Read a lot of the things that they wrote. I'm not saying that they were all atheists. I'm not saying that they weren't. Even Tom Paine was not an atheist, but they had their different ideas about what God and the creation were all about, which is fine. But what I was also going to say was they preferred that people would treat their religion the way that up until about 5-10 years ago, we treated people who were gay. In other words, most people were like, hey, if you're gay, keep it in the closet. All right? Well, that's how the founders, for the most part, felt about religion. They wanted people in public service to have a moral base, moral values. But the idea of you constantly, well, I'm running because of my values and blah, 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 and my values. And I'm trying to instill values. No, they were totally against that. And that's why they built that wall between church and state. Now look, for example, look at Louisiana, right? Got about some of the lowest IQs, right? And when you look at education, people with high school diplomas or GEDs, health care, healthy diets, right? Babies being born healthy. On all those indicators, they're about the worst in the country. Yet they run around making a big deal now because they want to put the 10 Commandments in public schools. That's wrong. Or if you want to insist upon doing that, then you need to have people. Say, I'm Buddhist, right? Or I'm a Confucian. I'm Hindu. And those folks should have their thing hanging up right up there next to the 10 Commandments. And by the way, these are the same people. It's sad. It's so sad you gotta laugh. You know, a hungry child in school that wants a sandwich, they'll probably, kick the poor kid down a flight of stairs and send a note home to his parents. Hey, you guys are lazy. Yeah, the big Christians. Well, see, the founders, they saw this. People, I'm doing it again. I know I got a bad habit. I get into whole different channels and whatnot. But as these things come to mind, I just don't want to, pass them without making comments on them. You got to remember something. The people that founded this country were educated men. There's no two ways to put it. Now, we can argue about, they were a bunch of hypocritical bastards because a lot of them owned slaves and all this other good stuff, and they made no any kind of room for participation for the indigenous people. And I say women, right? No participation for women, right? And black people were, for the most part, slaves until after, the 1780s. Then you had about, 2 or 3 New England states officially got rid of slavery. But for the most part, it's just like somebody asked me what I did for the 4th of July. I said, I never celebrate the 4th of July. Somebody offers me a hot dog or a hamburger, I'd take it, but I don't do anything specifically because, hey, it's the 4th of July. Why? You need to read the statement, the speech that Frederick Douglass gave about what the 4th of July means to a black man, right? So, yeah, the founding fathers were not gods, right? They made some huge, big mistakes. As people around the world generally do. We're talking about America and the mistakes that have been made here, okay? But see, the other side of that is that there's some very good things about what they wrote down. Very good, very good things. And as I was getting ready to say, you got to remember, again, these were educated men. They studied history. They studied the Greeks, the Romans. They studied their European history for the last 1,000 years. The 100 Years' War, the 30 Years' War, right? The religious wars that literally tore Europe apart. That's one of the reasons why Germany didn't get really unified until, when was the 1880s? Same thing with Italy, right? Because coming out of the Middle Ages, they saw how religion, the fight over religion, had basically stopped progress. That's why the Enlightenment was so important. And the intelligent people of that time, the educated people of that time, they had their beliefs about the Creator and God and blah, blah, blah. But they came to the conclusion, we are not going to allow anybody's religion to, screw up the works of government. Even same Britain. The only I would say the only difference would be with Catholicism, and there was a reason for that, and that reason was because that particular religion, Catholicism, you had a guy that saw himself not only as a spiritual leader, but also as a temporal emperor or king, see? And I would say that would be the only difference. England grew out of that nonsense. The only thing they said, no, we're not, Catholics are going to be very literate. That's the main reason, or one of the main reasons, why the Irish caught so much hell from the British Empire, because they were Catholic. So what they said was, we're not going to have that here in America. We're going to have a separation of church and state. And we're going to have like a civic religion. In other words, we expect people who go into government to be ruled by, their virtue. In other words, we're supposed to be people of virtue. And we expect men to be virtuous servants of the government. One of the reasons why Aaron Burr literally wrecked his career was because after a point in time here in good old New York, people suspected that old Aaron was not a virtuous person. And as that word traveled throughout the country, it caused a lot of problems, and which eventually led up to two things. The famous duel right over here in Jersey between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton. And then shortly after that, they're not quite sure what Burr was trying to do, whether he was trying to overthrow the government or whether he was trying to steal a part of Mexico from Spain. But he was tried for treason. He beat the rap, but he was never loved or respected again here in America. And I believe he left here, and he stayed in Europe for a long time. And then he came back here to the United States. And he became a man of mystery. But he never had the swing or the sway that he had before people realized that he was a guy of low morals or low public morals, see. So it wasn't so much about your religion. It was about, were you a moral person, see? Because you had virtue, you had morals, way before you had Christianity and Jesus Christ, okay? Remember Plato, Socrates? What is the good? See? So I think it's time that, it's time in America that we really get into our roots, okay? There's a lot to this country, but people don't know it because it's not really taught in schools, and, it's not encouraged. See, that's how we find ourselves in this mess with Trump. And see, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get all broken up behind a guy. Number one, he's a criminal. That's my way of thinking. Frankly, I think that for any really patriotic American, that's how they should be thinking. If you knew a guy was a bank robber and a thief, right, a con artist, and somebody took a shot at him, would you be surprised? No, of course not. Trump has been a con artist. He has been accused of being a thief, right? We know that he has shared secrets with our adversaries. I'm not saying that he is a spy. I think he's definitely a puppet, right? He tried to overthrow our form of government. Why? So why? What's the... I'm upset because of the fact that someone in public life was shot at. All right? That is a part that angers me, right? The fact that it's Donald Trump, no, that doesn't faze me in the least. But the fact that somebody felt that they had to take violence to a candidate for president of the United States, that's what we need to be concerned about, all right? Because Trump is a criminal for all practical intents and purposes. The man is a rapist. I mean, he had his day in court, right? He's told on himself, I don't know how many times. And this is what really bothers me. And this is what's really dangerous for the future of democracy, because you have Americans walking around, they never heard of the things that I've just said here, or B, they don't care. And when you have a situation like that, you have to be aware that we are in some very dangerous waters. And people need to grow up, mature, and understand just what the hell we're dealing with now. And I hear all this stuff about, Biden's too old. How's Biden too old? He's what? He's 2 years older than Trump. How is he too old? He forgets words sometimes. Oh, really? And have you been following Trump these last several years? Yeah? I mean, this guy stands up in an auditorium on worldwide media, and he humiliates, he pokes fun, he makes fun of a handicapped person. Think about that. I just want you to think about that for a change. All you Trump supporters out there, just turn off the MAGA machine in your brain for a minute and just think about that. This guy who wants to be the leader of the free world again, this is the guy that stands up. He's not telling me what he wants to do, right? That's going to help the masses of the American people. He's going to take his opportunity to tell me what the deal is, and he's going to use it to poke fun of a handicapped person. That's the same as laughing at somebody in a wheelchair. And then he has made these comments about he doesn't like veterans who've been disabled and handicapped because of their service, like they might have lost a leg or an arm, or in some cases 2 legs, right? Doesn't like to see him. When he was in the White House, he didn't like to see him around. In his home, he doesn't like to see them around. What kind of person do you think he's going to be? How do you think he's going to treat people generally? First time he was in, he was so busy trying to prove that he wasn't a Russian agent, which he never did, okay? And now I guess he feels that, well, I know how to beat the system now, right? I know that there has always been a level of hate in this country, but I never saw it. See, that's that Southern thing. Now I know I would get nailed for that. That's why I would never run for president if I could help it, because well, he's against the South. Well, yeah, in the sense that this idea of Southern culture, I don't think too much of it, because I see the harm. I see the damage that it's historically done to this country, and I see it happening again. You got to remember something. How many people died in the Civil War? We know now over 1 million. You had thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of Southern men, boys really for the most part, who were not slaveholders, but who went out there and and fought and died for the sake of slavery, and they didn't own slaves. But what it was a social thing, because they felt that they had to show that they were superior. That's why integration in the 50s and 60s. Look at the people, little girls going into a public school, and look at the mobs. Those girls had to be escorted by the 82nd Airborne and federal marshals. Why? Because it's like, oh, you're letting the animals go to school with my kid. That's what the whole charter school thing is about. But unfortunately, Latinos and especially African Americans, I don't know. It's like they close their eyes and their ears. They're like these black parents. Oh, I don't want my kid to learn CRT. Oh, so you don't want your kid to learn history, in other words. You want your child to live in a fantasy world. Well, hell, get the videos and cartoon videos and sit the kid in front of that all day at home. You can stay at home and watch cartoons all day. Why not? You want him or her to grow up in a fantasy world. It's so much insanity in this country right now. It's just like they come up with this bull about what was it, 10%, 20% black supporting Trump. Now, anybody in the black community knows that's BS. The danger we have in the black community is not black people running out there voting for Trump. The danger is of black people, especially black men, staying home on election day. That is our biggest fear. But you have to remember, this society, this American society, it is a society of children, okay? We have had periods in history where we were adults and people stood up for things. They stood up and they fought for what was right, see. But we're not in that period right now. People, a lot of us, unfortunately, have been so programmed, have been so conditioned to really not, I don't know, to not really think. You know, take your critical thinking skills and put them in a cabinet somewhere. Seriously. And a lot of, some of these black entertainers, you haven't heard a damn word out of Oprah about this election, have you? Wonder why? Well, I know we hear all this stuff about Oprah, I don't really give a damn about that, okay? But I do remember when Obama was running, you couldn't walk up and shake Obama's hand without falling over Oprah, right? Now, she has a sort of political word. 4 years? I don't even. What happened? I suspect Donald probably told her, listen, if you run out there with Obama, if you run out here now the way you did with Obama, I'll I put the word out about how much I did with you back in the day. Is that the reason? Who knows? But see, this is the thing that I say about the American people. We don't trust Biden with immigration. Hey, you stupid jerk. Tell me something. Trump runs millions, and I mean it would be millions of Latinos out of this country. What the hell do you think? You're complaining about the price of food now. What do you think would happen? And not just Latinos, because you also have Africans, people from the Middle East, right? What happens? What do you think would happen to the economy? Now, a lot of corporate America, they're trying to have it both ways. Because we have a job shortage in this country, believe it or not. I know a lot of people don't want to believe it. They want to replace white people. They want to replace white men with Hispanics and blacks. I would never. History, I understand. The crazy things that people do in history, that's a different story. But what do you think would happen if we made all of the immigrants, I'm talking about if you don't have a green card, you got to get out, right? What do you think is going to happen to the economy? And what do you think our biggest competitors are going to be doing while they are watching us chase out all these immigrants of color? Because that's basically what you're talking about. All right, let's be real about it. You have Eastern Europeans, mainly Russians, that wanted to escape Putin, right? A lot of them went to Britain, but really, that's all you have, right? I mean, you ain't got a whole bunch of people from Norway and Sweden and Denmark and France and Spain staying online to come to the United States. Seriously, you know. Got a new timer. But you don't really have a lot of people that want to come here. I know. You look at look at them people coming on the border and all that. Well, that's it, right? That's it. How do I mean, how do you figure this? The corporate world says, well, damn, we need about, 10, 15 million workers, right? But you have these Trump followers scaring Americans, saying, oh, immigrants are taking over. So we can't get those people in here. By the same token, you're talking about you want high-tech trained people to come over, come from overseas. One of these idiot Republicans, was it Graham? One of these fools was saying, yeah, we should only take people, the high technically skilled people who want to come to the United States. Well, what I'm trying to figure out, why aren't we training our people to do high-tech jobs? Why do we have to have people coming from overseas? When they do come, all right? I mean, don't worry, there's not that many, right? That guy, what's his name, Tesla? He's over here. He's an immigrant. Yeah, big mouth Tesla. Yeah. But it's funny, right? Because, he didn't stay where he was at. He came from South Africa. I guess he was scared of the changes, so he split, right? He was in Canada for a while. Then he came to the States. Some of them, the few, like Australians, English, former South Africans, there's not that many of them. But some of them, come over here because they figure they can say, well, yeah, I'm a right-wing conservative. And they feel they can fit right into the right circles. I mean, look at Tesla. Now, he came over here, techie entrepreneur type, got millions, right? He wants to shoot his mouth off so much. Tell him give back all that money the United States government gave him, right? Well, but seriously, you don't have a lot of people trying to run, come to the United States. The people that are coming here, in most cases, are usually poor, broke, desperate-ass people, some of whom are in fear of their lives, and they want to come to the United States, the supposedly land of liberty. The same way your grandparents and great-grandparents did, which is something else. I find it not only sad, but I do find it amusing. Somebody that ain't been in the country, maybe a grandpa's worth or a great-great-grandfather's worth, right? And they want to talk about, hey, America should be for the Americans. Somebody like Donald Trump, right? Trump, they haven't been here no time. His grandfather came over here, 1890 something? And now he talks about immigrants. Look, Some people will say I'm being unkind, but it's true. This is just another, it's just another form of racism. It really is. Because, it's funny, man. The only time they get hyper about immigration is when you talk about darker people, right? You have a little bit of that. So, you have some of that going on in Europe now, okay? Depending upon the country. But you know what I find amusing? The right wing thought they was going to make a killing in France, for example. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. I'm not saying that they lost, that they got wiped out. No, no, no. But, that's me. That means my time is running out. But what happened, the left gave them a very good run for their money. See? So we'll see what happens. Same thing in England. As a matter of fact, in Britain, period. But in particular, England, right? Yeah, I know. Most Americans don't know there's a difference between England and Great Britain, but save that for another time. But they threw the conservatives out. They threw them out, the Tories, right? That's like their conservative group, right? They threw them out. They said, we had enough of this, cutting taxes for the wealthy. He said, I'm wondering if Americans got the same good sense that our English cousins do, right? You got some people now trying to blame the victim. I mean, you've always had that here in the United States. But, look at Britain, right? Trying to make India feel bad because they chased the British out in, what was it, 1940, what was that, 47, yeah. Talking about, we did this and we did that for the, man, Western Europe made itself wealthy because of Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Canada, and Latin America, okay? And no, Columbus did not discover a damn thing, okay? Because I was in a conversation the night, and somebody was talking about this and that, and Columbus came into the picture, and I had to set him straight. That's an example of the bullshit that we're taught in this country. No, Columbus did not discover a damn thing, okay? You can't, and neither did the Vikings. Right? You can't discover something that other people are already living on. See? I'll prove it to you. This weekend coming up, how about you and your old lady, right? Want to have a nice night out? Hop in the car. Drive down to the club. Well, me and my boys, what we going to do? When we see y'all drive up to the club, hop out the car, we're going to wait about half an hour. Y'all in the club having a great time. Me and my boys are going to discover your 1923 beautiful car. How's that? Don't sound too good, does it? Well, now you understand the ignorance of what Americans have been taught, right? You can't discover something that somebody else already occupies, okay? And one more point I wanted to make. You have many people who think that, well, we can embarrass Biden and show him as being feeble and out, totally out of it. Let's, show our support for the Palestinian cause by turning over campuses. Now, I tell you quite frankly, anytime students and their supporters want to shut down campuses on universities, right on, baby. Yeah, and some, maybe some black folks will look askance. Oh, he shouldn't say that. The hell I won't. How do you think we got our freedom in this country? Because people demonstrated, right? They made it known that there are certain things that civilized societies will not tolerate. And that's how it all happened. We have a long way to go, but this business about Gaza, it bugs me because there again, I mean, is there something in modern America that, I don't know, is it like a Peter Pan effect? It keeps us immature or something. I don't know, right? But why do you think giving Joe Biden a hard time about Gaza? And that's not to say that I don't have problems with some of the things that Biden has done and has not done. He's done a lot of good things for working class Americans. But he should have gotten rid of that damn filibuster. See? That's an example of what he should have done. But do I want to see him out of the White House and Trump in? I'm not suicidal. I'm not. And for those people who are concerned about the Palestinian situation, which every American should be, what the hell do you think will happen with Trump in there? Seriously. Biden tries to apply brakes on what the right-wing Knesset is doing over there. Knesset, that's the Israeli parliament. But if you have Trump in the White House, there will be no stopping the right wing over there because we supply, we supply Israel. We take care of them. Okay? And I really fear what that foolishness will drag us into. I truly do. I know the Middle East fairly well, but once upon a time in another life, that was part of my job. Listen, I am running late, and I will be back, same time, same channel, next week. Take care. Keep your eyes open. Keep reading. Stay woke. This is Bob Gums, Concerning Forum. See you later. Take care of each other. Peace.
To Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Please pay close attention as our menu.